Hello everyone. Welcome to the Women in Agriculture series presented by NL Young Farmers Forum and Agriculture in the Classroom NL. Today we will be heading to Upper Humber Settlement in Cormac on the province's west coast. We will be speaking with Lori Lee LeDrew, co-owner of the Honesty Market. Let's go!
My name's Lori Lee LeDrew. I work owner and operator here at the Upper Humber Settlement located up in Cormac. I manage a lot of the employees. In the early parts of the season, I make sure things are seeded when they need to be seeded. I do all the planning for planting times. I manage all of the greenhouse operations. I also do a lot of the crop management in terms of the rotation and what is going to be planted where. We do all that in the fall of the year, so that way stuff like garlic can be planted. I also manage what varieties of things that we're going to do. And in addition to that, I also do a lot of our bookkeeping and our finances. I do a lot of the office work, any of the social media, the marketing, any of those things with the internet. I don't think I wanted to be in agriculture specifically growing up. In fact, when I was in high school, I remember having one of those career days, and it was like a trade show and you got to go around to all the booths, and I was convinced that I wanted to be a truck driver. I don't know, I thought I was going to join the military and do some kind of trade in that way. I was very fortunate, and I received a scholarship which allowed me to go to university where there was no trades, and I didn't have no idea what I wanted to do, but I had to go or else I wouldn't get the scholarship. So I went, and I ended up studying English and French, and then after that I studied education, and so now I'm a trained teacher, and I teach as a substitute in the local schools here, and I still do that now in addition to all the other hats that I wear, because sometimes you have to. Many people work another job when they're in agriculture, especially starting out. We started growing food for ourselves as a couple. I mean, we've been together since we were teenagers, and we were growing food at his parents' house before we even had land, or at his grandparents' house. It's a very interesting job, and you definitely have no idea what's going to happen. There could be one thing that happens, an order that comes in, something just doesn't work out, or somebody shows up, and your whole day changes. All your plans change. You get a phone call, and then 2 days later, you're here talking about being a woman in agriculture. So it's a great industry to be a part of. I'm not surprised to find myself here, but I'm so glad that I am here. Working in the agriculture industry is a great industry to be a part of, and one of the reasons for that, and probably one of my favorite things about it, and I'm really, I seen it the first year, I seen it the second year, but here in my third year, I'm really seeing it. I even seen it before I started agriculture, when we were just doing our own thing and growing our own vegetables. I see farmers working together and helping each other all the time, whether that be by buying products from each other, maybe supplying. I know that one of the big farms, they let us come to their farm after season is over, and we used to get all the food waste from their field and feed it to our animals, and we would feed that to our animals for a nice few weeks. Then another farmer, he's got manure and bedding that's been sitting in a field for years, and he's been allowing us to take a little bit, which when you start, it's very important, because we didn't have our own manure at that scale. We didn't have our own bedding or compost to be able to grow what we want to try and do. I have another farmer, a new farmer as well, but who's doing things on a much larger scale and doing things in the more traditional way, if you will. And he's reached out to us because he has a farmer's market in Corner Brook, and he's looking for diversity on his farm. And this comes at a time when we were going to be supplying a lot of product we had anticipated through the Food Hub network, which unfortunately didn't go ahead this year. But because this farmer had reached out to us and was looking for our product to put into his farmer's market, we had a venue to sell our product. I can't say I've had mentors in the field work with me specifically, but I've certainly had support from the local industry, and that's something to be proud of. Some of the most interesting technology we have on our farm is for our livestock, and it's a solar power electric fence system. We have two. One is for the pigs, and the second one is for our chickens, and we use them in all kinds of different ways. To work in agriculture, you need all kinds of different skills, but you need to be flexible, you need to be adaptable. Not only skills, you need those traits. They're so important. A day can change on a dime. All it takes is for the phone to ring, someone to pull in the driveway, something to happen while you're just doing your daily routine tasks. So flexibility is so key. Skills are important. I'm not trained in business. I wish that I was. It's a challenge for me to do the office work, but I'm working on it and I'm learning every day. There's all kinds of workshops and videos to help you get going on it. And there's even support from local industry, like business industries such as CBDCs and Enlo and all those types of organizations that can help give you the training that you need. And that's some of the stuff that I took advantage of to help me with the business part of it, because that is an essential skill and I don't have that skill, but I've been working on building it. And the main trait is work ethic. You've got to be a hard worker, because this stuff is hard work. No matter what you're doing in agriculture, if you're dealing in livestock and animals, if you're doing vegetable production, if you're working in a greenhouse or nursery, I mean, those bags of soil, they're not light. You know, you've got to have a strong work ethic. You've got to be willing to put in the extra hours. Anybody who's looking to get into agriculture, your best bet is just to start. That could be in a whole different way. You could start by growing food for yourself. We have a nice little demo spot on our farm where I always share with people how we started growing food for ourselves. Okay, so if someone really wants to get into agriculture or get into farming, I always tell them, or I would like to recommend for them, is to start by growing your own food. Whether that means having a few vegetable beds in your backyard, growing, a few chickens for you for the year, maybe start with 20 and next year maybe try to grow 50, and then you could have a few for your friends and your family. Start there. Start by growing a pig or two for yourself, and maybe have another family in on it who maybe they help buy bags of feed, and in return you do a lot of the labor work and you get the weaner pig to start. But wherever you do, just start for yourself. Grow your own food first. This is what we started with. When we started growing our own little bit of livestock that we had 25 laying hens just for ourselves. I think we started with probably the same broilers. We started with 25 for ourselves. Now we're at the max capacity that we could have. We've outgrown this, and now we're building a new winter barn for ourselves. But we've been using this system, and now we use it as well still, but in different ways. Everything that is used to build this is all repurposed and recycled. It cost us next to nothing, a little bit of labor and love, that was all. We use a lot of different strategies and techniques on our farm. We call it sustainable agriculture, but one of the main things that we use, or one of our main influences that we look to, is permaculture. And I'm sure permaculture can be defined in many ways. I always just tell people that it's permanent agriculture, and we look to nature and we try to replicate the natural ecosystems. If we look into the forest, we don't see bare soil. We see forest debris and leaves and sticks and twigs and all kinds of different stuff on top of the soil. If we look at a desert where nothing grows, we just see bare soil. Sometimes in the forest we'll see moss. That's like a living mulch. It still covers our soil and it protects our soil. What we've done here in this particular bed, so every bed we have different kinds of mulches. In our orchard we use berries, has mulches, living mulches, just like mosses would be. Here we're using wood chips, and this is important. This is why we don't till our beds, because when we till the wood chips into the soil, it uses the nitrogen already in the soil to break down the wood chips. So it's important that we don't till it in and it just stays as a mulch on top. But the soil, the layer between the soil and the wood, sometimes it will have sawdust in our walkways that will help encourage the bacteria to grow. In particular, we're trying to encourage myceliums and mycorrhizas. So what that is, it's the network that grows the mushrooms. And if you look closely at it, you can see that it's a spider web. And this is almost like a spider web that goes all through the soil. And the web itself, it connects a network. It's like a big network, almost like the internet in a way. It connects the roots of all the different plants together. And the research talks about how the plants communicate through this network. They send energy through it, warning each other of pest invasion, severe climate, and things like that. But also, they share nutrients through this mycelium network as well. So this is a way for our soil and our plants to communicate to each other and spread nutrients along through our farm. If you want to get involved and you want to get going with agriculture, just start growing for yourself, then start growing for your friends and your family. They'll buy off you too. They know it costs money, and they don't mind contributing and helping support you grow your business. And then start reaching out to your community. And then once you know you're in your community, it doesn't take long to go from there and to start selling to other people in other communities.